about, which I'm not sure if it's you, but you're a little staticky.
I'm what?
A little staticky. It's a little bit hard to hear you.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Ami, it's okay?
A little bit better.
You can hear?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. Okay. I will start in a minute, guys. It's great to see your faces. Okay, guys, we'll start. I got to make vasikin, so so we got to move things along. Amazing to see your beautiful faces. Good vach to you guys. I guess it's sort of a Malav Malka for you. Before I start, I just want to thank the sponsors. Really appreciate when I saw your names. First is Shimmy Borgen. Thank you very much, Shimmy Borgen, for recognizing that I try to spread the light of Rabbi Nachman. We try our best. Yossi Kashnow, thank you very, very much. And Reuven Leibowitz, who is in my night share, and the fact that you remember so long ago that you were in my night share. I think you're maybe a rabbi of a shul now. I don't even know, Reuven. But you know, the Shabbos Zocher, and you haven't forgotten. So that's a great thing, and warmed my heart that you're still holding on to night share from like I think it was like 14, 15 years ago. So that's pretty amazing. So Boker Tov, good vach for you guys. Really, really beautiful to see all your faces. Okay, I thought I'd be alone here today, but Baruch Hashem, we're not. So with all you guys, so what we'll do is I compiled a few questions that people asked when we put it out about Shaylos, Teshuvos, and Avodat Hashem. So I'm going to try my best to answer some of them. If afterwards we have time for questions, I would love to do that. I don't have like a moderator or person running the Zoom to help me out here to figure out how to unmute everybody or whatever it is. So we'll just see how that goes, because opening up to questions sometimes it could create issues on Zoom. But we'll see how that works, and definitely keep in mind your questions. If you WhatsApp me, then I'll probably get it. If you send some note in the Zoom, I can't promise I'll know how to open that up. I really apologize. But here we go. Question number one. I won't say who asked the questions because I'm not sure if they want to be known or not. Okay, the first question, when I got it, I'm like, come on, that's such a basic question. I'm not going to talk about this. You know, I'm too good for that. Then I started thinking about it more, and I said, you know what? It's a very, very fair question, and let's put the whole night into context. And it's a very basic question, but a very important question. And the question is very pashut. Question is, define Avodas Hashem. Once again, when I read that, I'm like, that's ridiculous. You have to define Avodas Hashem. You know, but no, it's a very, very good question to define Avodas Hashem, because just because you're doing Torah, mitzvahs, and tefillah, that doesn't mean you're necessarily doing Avodas Hashem. What makes something into an avoda versus doing? So I think that we're going to go to the Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov. One of the great Chiddushim of the Baal Shem Tov is that when a person's serving Hashem, when a person's Torah and mitzvos, tefillah, and that a person allows the light of Hashem to permeate their existence. They're living with the light of Hashem. A person can do mitzvos without being conscious of the light of Hashem. Obviously, when anybody does a mitzvah, they're experiencing the light of Hashem, but they may not be feeling it. They may not be experiencing, meaning it's happening to them, but they're not experiencing it. The Baal Shem Tov comes and says, no, we have to experience the light of Hashem. It's not enough just to do. We have to experience, we have to know that the light of Hashem and actually consciously affect us. You know, like, you know, when the L'Shem Yichud was established, I actually don't know exactly who came along and established L'Shem Yichud. If anybody knows, send that along. But it's a great thing to find out. L'Shem Yichud Kutsha Brichu Shchinte B'tchilu Rechimu. The L'Shem Yichud is an unbelievable thing. We're saying we're about to do a mitzvah, and let's be conscious of what we're doing. We're putting together the Shechina and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's an unbelievable. It's stopping. Avodas Hashem is stopping, and not just doing but being. That's Avodas Hashem. It's a wholesome experience. It's about being. It's a big difference in life. You could have the person doing the same exact thing. They look the same exact way. They're doing. You could take two people, but one's doing avodah, and one's being, and one's doing. And that's a big difference between Avodas Hashem and not Avodas Hashem. If we go to the Beis HaMikdash, we know in the Beis HaMikdash we have this idea of avodah, the avodas Kohen Gadol. What the idea of avodas Kohen Gadol? It was an experience. It was an experience. It was a whole culture of avodah, meaning the Ketorahs. And when you watch a person who's an Oved Hashem do something, whether they're doing a mitzvah, whether they're doing Torah, whether they're doing tefillah, you feel that the person's doing avodah like the Kohen Gadol. There's an experience going on. There's like you can hold on to that experience. Whereas a person who's just learning Torah, and it's very nice, and there is light of Hashem, obviously. We can't deny that. And the person's doing a mitzvah. But it's not being, it's just about doing. And we see the big difference. So that's Avodas Hashem. Avodas Hashem is actually experiencing the light of Hashem and being during the mitzvah, consciously being during the mitzvah. So that's Avodas Hashem. And that's the first question. Okay, question number 2. You guys ready? I feel like there's too much of a monologue here. You guys ready for question number 2? What I want, you guys are all muted. It's not your fault. Okay, question number 2 is, what do we do when our Avodas Hashem doesn't fit to our lifestyle of my surroundings or wife or parent? So often we want to be an Avodas Hashem and we want it, but the surroundings that we find ourselves in are not so conducive for it. That's number 1. Number 2, we could have a parent who's kind of pushing us away from that a little bit. And the third thing is a wife and a family, not a family as in parents, but wife. All these 3 things are all different. So let's take things each separately. Surroundings. So first of all, you guys are all big boys. I'm not talking about the small boys who are like stuck in situations. You guys are all putting yourself in a situation. You don't find yourself in the situation, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe told to Rav Aaron Lichtenstein, who came to talk to him. I think he was in Harvard at the time, and he says, I find myself in a situation. The Rebbe stopped him. He says, you don't find yourself in a situation. You place yourself in a situation. You're all placing yourself in a situation. And if the situation doesn't fit the place that you want to be, unless it's like some charig, exceptional thing that you want to be a certain doctor and the only school that you could go to is this and this and this. But you guys choose the surroundings that you're in. So don't complain about the surroundings that you're in. If you decided to go to, I'll just pick out, let's say, Yeshiva University, which happens to be, potentially a great environment, but I'm just saying it. You can't start complaining about the environment and the surroundings of Yeshiva University. You chose that, and you could choose not to be there, or you could choose to find the better places in there, whatever it may be. I'm just using that as an example. You guys are choosing where to be. So you can't blame things on your surroundings. And number 2, that even if your surroundings are not conducive for it, you have to ignore your surroundings. Surroundings don't define us. And that's the first seif in the Shulchan Aruch, that even if people look at us as we're funny, and even people make fun of us, it doesn't matter. Surroundings are not our definition. It can't define us. And if you're feeling very, very hurt by your surroundings, either number 1, change your surroundings because you can, or if you can't, for whatever reason, you can't change your surroundings, realize that I will not be defined by my surroundings. People can laugh at me. I don't care if they're doing this and this and this and this. I'm not being defined by my surroundings. So surroundings always is a very weak excuse to say I can't be an Oved Hashem. Either don't be there, or don't let it affect you. So that's in terms of surroundings. Next thing, parents. I'm talking to big boys right now. I'm not talking to little 18-year-old, 18, 19-year-old Shanalef and Shanabek guys. I'm talking to big boys who are living their own lives right now. Parents are beautiful. Parents are amazing. I'm a parent myself, and I wonder if I'd be upset at myself for saying this as a parent, but you're big boys. It can't be that your parents are defining your Avodat Hashem at this point in life, unless you're joining Chas v'Shalom, some horrible, cult that's dangerous. Then a parent should step in. But otherwise, your parents should not be defining Avodat Hashem. Now, you can listen to your parents. You should talk to your parents. You should take their advice. Your parents probably know you better than anybody else in the world. But if they're defining Avodat Hashem and you feel inhibited because you want to do something in life, again, that's healthy, that's safe. I'm not talking about things that are not safe, that you want to be a certain way in life. You want to go to a certain minyan. You want to go to a certain community in daven. Your parents are stopping you. I think you guys are old enough to stand on your own 2 feet here. Again, unless your parents are having a very, very good reason that you have to listen to. You have to listen to their answers, but you have the ability. I don't believe it's under kibbutz avayim just to listen to whatever your parents tell you in terms of like what you should be. So parents is also a very weak example of stopping your avodas Hashem. Now we're going to get to the difficult one. Some of this applies to you, some of this won't apply to you. Whether it applies to you, so I think it's very important to go into this. And if it doesn't apply to you yet, I give a bracha that it should apply to you. And it's good to study this and be aware of this beforehand. A wife. Okay, a wife, you're not seeing eye to eye in Avodas Hashem with your wife. That's a problem. That's not a parent. It's a different relationship. You have to live with your wife. You have to have a certain, it creates a certain dissonance when you're in one place of Avodas Hashem and your wife is in another place in Avodas Hashem. It's not a comfortable situation. If those guys who are married or are feeling this, you understand what I'm saying. It's not a comfortable position. You want to be growing. You want to be, you're together with your wife. You want your wife to grow with you. And it's very hard when one spouse, we'll talk about the husband growing just because we're talking to men, but if any wives are listening, so you could flip it around, whatever you want. If the man is growing in a certain way and the woman's not coming along with him, life is very dissonant. It's very difficult. It's very confusing. Totally understood. So let's talk about, so what does a person do when their wife, again, there's not a parent that you respectfully, move away from. It's not your surroundings that get out of there or rise above your surroundings. It's very hard to rise above a wife, and you definitely shouldn't just leave a wife for this. That's very important. You didn't marry her for a certain aspect of Avodas Hashem. Obviously, if it's getting so bad, that's a different story, and everybody has to seek out their own advice, but their personal advice. But we're talking about in a general healthy area. The wife is just not coming along with you. That's it. You're trying to go down a certain path in Avodas Hashem, and your wife is not going around with you. So what are we going to do about that? That's a difficult situation. So I think one thing is that I think it's very important, like I just said, but sometimes I think it's overestimated about how much a wife has to be with you in your Avodas Hashem. Again, it's very, very good, and it's very difficult not to have it, but a person can have a chabura, and they can have a way of Avodas Hashem when the wife is not necessarily with them all the time. For example, a person wants to daven in a certain minyan, and to daven a certain way. A person wants to daven a piece, he wants to learn a piece of Balatanya, a beautiful piece of Balatanya, from Torah or Likutei, with Chassidus Mubarak on a Friday night. A wife is not going to stop you to do that. A lot of times we could jump and blame a wife, but she's not going to stop you to do that, to learn a beautiful piece of Noam Elimelech on a Friday night, or Balatanya on a Friday night, or go to a Shiur. Again, sometimes practically it doesn't work out, but a wife is not going to always stop you for Avodas Hashem. You could find your own way of Avodas Hashem, and she's not coming along with you so much. So first of all, you have no idea when a wife is really coming along with you. Her expression of coming along with you will not be exactly the man's expression. Even let's say you have a wife and a husband who are both super into Rabbi Nachman, super into Breslov, they're going to be into it in a different way. They're going to be into a different way. So you're not married to a chavrusa, and therefore you shouldn't expect that, she has to be in it this way, and if she's not with me. That's not true. Take a step back and realize that your wife is really with you. Break down the layers. No, your wife is really with you. So that's number one, that you could create your own space. Even if your wife is not buying into everything that you believe in and that you're doing, you create your own space. And if your wife is not giving you that basic space, so the person has to seek help about how to deal with that situation. A person needs their healthy space. I'm not talking about unhealthy space. I'm not talking about running away to Uman for a month. I'm not talking about hiding in Meron for a month. I'm talking about a healthy space. You want to go to a certain minyan. You want to go to maybe a certain trip for 2 days, 3 days, or whatever it is. You have to have your healthy space. And many times a wife will give that healthy space. Even if she's not together with you, she's giving you that space. And again, you have to really redefine that. We could talk about this for a lot, but I'm just giving, Roshei Prakim, that a lot of times a wife is with you and you're just not realizing. Next thing is something I heard from on a Tzama Nafshi. We did a panel for Tzama Nafshi by, I think it was Yutek Kislev. So Rav Davidel mentioned that show and don't tell. Show and don't tell, meaning if your wife is not so into something you're doing, let's say we'll use an example. This doesn't have to be the example. The husband really wants to go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah, and his wife bekoshi lets him. He had to make a really crazy deal of like, okay, fine, you could go to the gym every night, whatever it is, because I get to go to Uman, whatever it is. He has to go give a crazy deal. He has to wake 5 a.m. with the kids every morning because he has to go to Uman. Whatever he had to do, he makes a deal, and he goes to Uman. Show and don't tell. Don't tell her all about the davening and the this and the that. Sometimes they just don't want to hear it. Show it. Be a better person after Uman. I've heard many wives that says, "Wow, after he went to Uman, he was he was just a better husband and a better father." I don't know what they do there. I don't care what they do there. The fact that he came back. Let's say a person wants to go to an early minyan and it doesn't fit in the schedule. He wants to go to the mikveh before davening. He has to leave the house early. Show your wife that this is changing my life. And this is, don't tell her, they don't want to hear it. They don't understand what you're talking about half the time. They're not experiencing the same thing you're experiencing. Show it. So that's in terms of a wife. Again, a lot to talk about, but that's going to get us into our next question. The next question is that this is an unbelievable question, that when I want something bad, but Hashem is sending a maniya is like something that's stopping me. Is that a sign that I should work harder? You hear Rabbi Nachman speaking, oh, you have a maniya, work harder. It's the maniya is there just because that's where you're supposed to be and you have to work harder? Or is it that it's a sign, don't do it. Don't do it. Let's say a person really wants to make aliyah and they really want to make, they're hitting every roadblock in the book, real roadblocks. I'm not just saying like, ridiculous roadblocks and ridiculous excuses. A real roadblock. Does that mean that Hashem wants me to try harder in that? Or does that mean that Hashem's saying, don't do it? So it's an amazing question. I think that the answer is there's 2 levels of life. And I think many of you, I've told this too before, but it's such an important yesod of Ratsui versus Matsui. Meaning Ratsui is, what is your ideal, pristine picture and wanting and yearning of Avodat Hashem? And Matsui is what you could do within your situation. What's practical within your situation? So, for example, a person's Ratsui is, I want to wake up with Tikkun Chatzos in the middle of the night and go to the mikvah and stay up from 3 a.m. till Vasikin and then learn after Vasikin. And that's my Ratsui. But my Matsui is totally not that. If I wake up at 3 a.m, by 5 o'clock at night, I'm just mean to my kids, mean to my wife, mean to everybody around me, disgusting. And all my tikkun chatzos and my mikvah and everything is gone, finished, because I'm just being a rat of a person. And it's not my matzui. My wife doesn't want me to go do that. It's way too early. It's way this. I wake up everybody in the house, whatever it is. It's not my matzui. So what do? So often what we do is we throw away the ratzui. Forget about it. Okay, forget about tikkun chatzos, forget about vasikin, forget about mikvah before davening. Doesn't fit in my life. Done. It's not a value anymore. Wrong. No. And hold on to the ratzui. Hold on to what you want. And that the no mani in the world, and that's what Rabbi Nachman talks about. No mani in the world can take away your ratzui. You want to come to Eretz Yisrael? No mani in the world can stop you from this unbelievable ratzon of coming to Eretz Yisrael. Matsui, it's not the right time for whatever. You have a really, really good reason why you can't go. You have a real good reason why you shouldn't be waking up at 3 a.m, doing tikkun chatzos and going to the mikvah and dam vasik and having a seder after that. You have a really good reason that it doesn't fit in your life. So we have to hold on to the ratzui, because this is what I want to be doing, even though that I can't be doing right now. And no mania in the world can take that away from me. The mania can stop you from actually doing the ma'aseh. Okay, so I can't wake up for tikkun chatzos. I can't go to the mikvah before davening. I can't go. Right now I can't. I have very valid reasons that it's not possible for me to make aliyah right now. I have good valid reasons, real reasons. Okay, but you hold on to the ratzui. As Yishai Fleischer would say, make sure to take wine from Israel every Friday night. Sometimes a person's ratzon is stronger than their actually matzui. Sometimes a person can give over the love of Eretz Yisrael to his children, even without being here. It's a crazy thing, and I know that, but sometimes a person's ratzon is even stronger than the actual mitzias. So nothing in this world could take your ratzon away. But you have to realize sometimes it doesn't fit the matzui. So don't just drop the ratzui. Don't just drop your ideal pristine. Hold it. Don't let it frustrate you. Don't let it frustrate you. Just know, I can't do it. I'm living in the matzui. It doesn't allow me to do it, but I still have this burning desire to do it. Daven to Hashem that one day I want to do it. Right now, it doesn't fit in my life, and it's not the ratzon of Hashem to do it right now. The main word that we want to use right now, and there's also going back to the question of the wife, is yet. Not yet, but I'm still holding on to it. There's so many things in my own personal life that I feel that I wouldn't have imagined that I can do, that I wouldn't imagine that it'd be possible to do it. And Baruch Hashem, sometimes it works out. And it's behesed chadas. Nothing really happened in your life that really changed. It was behesed chadas because you held on to the ratzon for all those years. If you do the wrong thing, something that doesn't fit in your matzui, you could really mess up yourself. So be careful with that. So that's ratzui versus matzui. The mania can stop you from actually doing it. Again, let's go back to the example of a person who really wants to go to Uman Rosh Hashanah, but there's a pandemic in the world and you can't go. The flights are not going. What are you supposed to do? You supposed to go to Belarus and make a raft and go across the Belarus River. They risking your life that you're going to get shot by some Ukrainian guard. No, that's not your matzui. Maybe it is your matzui, but I don't think anybody I'm speaking to here, that's your matzui. So not your matzui. But hold on, that doesn't mean you can't have a strong ratzon to be b'Rabbeinu. That doesn't mean your ratzon has to go away. So that's ratzui versus matzui. Most important yesodus of life. Holding on to ratzui, but also recognizing what's my matzui. What can I yet? I can't do this yet in my life. Okay, we're going to get to the last two questions, and then hopefully somehow I'll open up the floor. I'll hopefully open up the floor for questions. I don't know how that's going to work with Zoom, but we'll somehow work it. Okay, a question that I hear a lot. When I was in yeshiva, I felt such simcha in learning and davening, chagigot, and seder negunim. But where I'm in life now, I just don't feel it anymore. How many times did I hear from alumni? I just don't feel it anymore. So I hear from myself, I just don't feel it anymore. It's not a thing. We overblow this idea of yeshiva and not yeshiva life, and like it's life itself that you just don't feel things anymore. So I just want to say that oftentimes in yeshiva we're in a spiritual Disney world here. I'm sitting right now in yeshiva in the spiritual Disney world right now, and it's not real ruchnius. It's ruchnius that's based on like this rah 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 rah. What are you supposed to do? You're not supposed to be into Purim. You're not supposed to be into davening. You're not supposed to be that's your whole life right now, to be into learning, to be into davening. You're in a yeshiva, for God's sakes. Like what are you doing, wasting your year not being into anything? And we create like this kind of like bubble in yeshiva, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else. Oh, we're going to Tzfat and Rabbi Shimon and like knocking down. So what's a guy supposed to do? No, I have no interest in this whatsoever. You feel so stupid to say I have no interest in this. So like we create this spiritual bubble in yeshiva, and we leave it as a landmark for the rest of our life. Like, oh, that was ruchnius, but now. So that's wrong. Again, we could talk about this forever, but I just want to say that we can't forget that the main simcha of a mitzvah is not the excitement of the mitzvah, not like the rah-rah of the mitzvah, not like, It's simply that you're doing the emes, you're doing the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is emes in this world. The Rambam in Hilchos Lulav, you're doing the emes in this world, even though that it's not giving me pleasure right now, and it's not so fun for me right now, and I'm not feeling it right now. I do know intellectually and emotionally that I'm doing the emes of what I'm doing, something eternal, doing something lenetzach, and that itself could bring a lot of simcha. The experience of it's very nice. Again, like we started to experience the light of Hashem in a mitzvah, but the main experience is to feel your emes, that you're doing the emes, and that you're bringing a dir b'tachtonim for Hashem. And we shouldn't get caught up and leave a landmark of our ruchnis in yeshiva. It's because yeshiva wasn't the reality of ruchnius. It was like just like this incubator of starting of ruchnius. But you're right. We don't feel things. But there's one thing that we could feel every time. Again, no one could take away, no minion, no horrible minion, no fast minion, no talking minion, no whatever we talk about bad about minyanim out there, or no horrible Shabbos can take away that I'm doing the emes of Hashem. I'm putting on tefillin. I don't care if everybody's talking around me. I don't care about if they're already up to Shmona Esrei and I'm just trying to put on my tefillin and I came early to shul. Okay, we could complain about the shul from today to tomorrow, but it won't change. What could change in us that we're doing the emes of Hashem, and that's the real experience of the mitzvah, that we're doing the emes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu right now. So to feel the other things that we felt in yeshiva, maybe it was a little bit off what we were feeling in yeshiva. Maybe it wasn't the main thing. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there in the questions. I'm going to take a risk now. I have no idea how to run this. I guess the best thing is just to unmute yourself, and if you want to ask a question, then go ahead. And if nobody has questions, it'll feel very, very awkward, but at least I'll get to davening on time. So but we have time for like one or two questions. Anybody want to unmute themselves?
I guess I have one.
Okay. Felix.
So you were talking about how, the yeshiva environment for Avodat Hashem is very different from once you leave yeshiva. So do you maybe have any tips on how to transition from existing in a place where Avodat Hashem is the cool thing to do to being in a place where maybe it isn't that way?
Okay, I think you said it yourself, meaning the cool thing to do is not emes. The emes is really deep inside to do is bodedus, to spend time with yourself and to realize what my nefesh really wants in life. And to really spend time with your nefesh, ruach and neshama, and say, what do you want out of life? What do you want to be cool? Well, okay, so in college, Avodat Hashem is not so cool. Other things are cool. And to really be misboded on doing the emes of Hashem. Read that Rambam in the end of Hilchos Lulav. Read it. They were doing it for the emes of Hashem. And I want to be an eternal person. I want to feed my internal neshama. Right? Rabbi Nachman talks about, Chazal talk about it, but Rabbi Nachman also talks about that every Mishnah that we learn and every mitzvah that we do, it's malbish our neshama. When we get to Shemayim, if we don't do any of that, we're just naked souls, and it's embarrassing, and nobody can help you. He says only the tzaddik Yisur Olam can help you, but otherwise no one can help you. You're just a naked soul. Do you want to be a naked soul in Shemayim? Or do you want to be an eternal soul that every time we do a mitzvah, we're feeding our netzach, we're feeding our eternal soul, we're clothing our eternal soul. So leaving yeshiva is the opposite. It gives us the chance to approach Avodas Hashem in the most meaningful, deep way, not into the rah, all the Rebbeim are telling me in a shana bet immature way. Really, in a real way. Like if you took away the whole world and took away everything and I was left alone, I would do this. And that's an unbelievable chance as being out of yeshiva that you can't, it's hard to get in yeshiva. When you get out of yeshiva to really, really deepen your connection to mitzvos as opposed to just being a product of your environment.
Thank you.
Else? Well, it's so nice to look at your faces. So no one's going to ask questions, but I'll just look at your faces.
Rav Mo.
Yeah.
I'm friends with Daniel Bromberg. He sent me the link. I already feel like a chassid of Rav Mo. So So Daniel told me that that the Rav is about Shuva through Breslov Hasidus.
Okay.
So was there any point in time? I noticed that the Breslov emblem is a fire, and it's very important. I feel like everyone feels like it's very important to always have the fire churning, and even when it's not, H2 Kadam is there. It's important because either way, they try their best. But was there any point in time where you felt you kind of lost it when you became about Shuva at any point? I don't know how long you've been a Rebbe in Lev. What did you do to combat that feeling when you felt you lost the, if you did, what did you do to combat the feeling of losing the flame?
Okay, beautiful. I think this is one of the most basic teachings of Rabbi Nachman. You have to start again. Dafka, he talks about at a certain point, Pesach was a time to start again. Now Purim is a time, and now Purim is a time to start again. But Lav Dafka Purim every day to start again. So there wasn't, Baruch Hashem, I don't think I ever felt like a certain crash in my life, like I just don't feel this anymore. I'm not, but yeah, for every every tkufa, it could be every day. You feel like I just don't have the energy. I don't feel it. For sure, all the time. How do you get back into it? You guys just believe in this idea of starting again. And sometimes those roadblocks in life, whenever you hit a construction on a road, we always get upset that they're doing construction and now I have to wait, for my turn and there's traffic and everything like that. We don't realize, they're fixing the road. Nobody likes the roadblock, but 2 years later down the line, when Yerushalayim, there's like 17 different exits to get to Yerushalayim. Everybody's the happiest person in the world. But while they're doing the construction, it's the most annoying thing in the world. So and that every time we don't feel into it, it's just a roadblock saying stop. You gotta build on it. I think on a macro level, perhaps again, we're not Nevi'im or anything like that, but I think maybe in the world we're hitting like this roadblock of stop. We gotta do construction on the world here. Yeah, it's annoying. The whole world stops and there's traffic and nobody's moving anymore. Nobody can take that road anymore. But there's a certain construction that's happening, and we have to have the patience to realize that this roadblock is in order to, for the betterment of society, or the betterment of myself. So sometimes all these feelings of I just don't feel it anymore. We think it's an afila. But really what it is getting ready for the next stage in life. Rabbi Nachman talks about this over and over and over again. Let's say in a Yedanit car, what's a Yedanit car? In a stick shift car, right? If anybody drove a stick shift, so when you want to go into the next gear, what do you have to do? You can't just go into the next gear. Otherwise, you're going to grind the gears. How do you go into the next gear? You press the clutch. The clutch disengages all the gears, and then you can go up in the gear. So too in life, in order to grow, we have to disengage all the gears. And it's a scary time. It feels like an afila. If anybody wants to look at the Talei Chaim on Purim, it's in the Shmos edition. He talks about from the Arizal that this is what's going on in Purim. The time of Purim was a time of Nasirus, the time of sleep. We went to a sleep, but it was a sleep to get to the next level. So also oftentimes sometimes us feeling out of it is just a roadblock of us to get back into it even stronger, because it forces us to and this goes back to Jacob Felix's question about different ways we get after yeshiva, that we think after yeshiva is an afila. No, it's not an afila. It's just a way to reorient ourselves and strengthen and deepen ourselves with the real mitzvahs. So a lot of times those feelings of I don't feel into it is just a roadblock in order for us to deepen ourselves, do a little bit of construction. And yes, sometimes there's a stop, there's a misminyan, there's a mislimud yomi, there's a mischance of, maybe watching, like some good NFL highlights, which I'm doing more than ever. I mean, now the NFL season over, I don't know why I found myself watching NFL highlights this year. I have no idea. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have known who was in the Super Bowl. And this year I could tell you which quarterbacks were playing. More than that, I couldn't tell you. But I found myself watching NFL highlights. What's going on here? I didn't know what was going on, but I allowed myself and realized, okay, there was a certain roadblock that I needed. And, sometimes we scare ourselves we're having NFL, we go crazy. Well, I'm having a feeling, I'm losing it. And that itself is the most destructive act, just to conscious, again, talk to your nefesh. I don't feel so into it. So what am I supposed to do now? Just give up everything or just pretend that I'm not feeling it? No, let me understand it. Let me be conscious of it. Let me speak to my nefesh and let me see how to move on the best way. So I think those times are actually a beautiful opportunity to shift into the next gear. Okay. If anybody has any further questions, feel free to contact me. It's so beautiful to see your faces. I think it's around the Giyazman Shachris. So good vach to everybody. It was very, very special to be with you. Thank you for this opportunity. You know, sometimes when you're speaking to just Shanalf and Shanabek guys, you know, that's also tiring. And you know, I feel like I'm speaking to bigger vessels right now who can handle this and who can, and it's a very special thing for me not to be speaking to some klipa, but to speak to you guys. So don't tell Shanalf guys I said that. They're beautiful also. But it's building the kli for you guys. I feel like it's just filling the ore in the kli, and it's helping myself also. So Laila Tov, Shavua Tov, should be a beautiful, beautiful Purim. And remember, if Purim is not happening, if you don't feel like, the Suda is not supposed to look at this way, it's not, you know, I'm not with friends who really understand. I'm with my parents who you know, just telling me all day that I can't drink because of Corona or something like that. You know, some weird things like that. Just realize that the Purim is about the eternal soul. It's not about what you're doing. It's about your being. So even if you're not able to have the highest Purim, or you're not allowed to be with your friends, or whatever rules that people put on you, and some of them are legitimate rules. I'm not, God forbid, I'm not saying it's not legitimate rules, but if a person's not feeling it, they have to go to some bad shul where, like, whatever it is, they don't like this, they don't like that. Realize it's not about that. It helps, but it's not all about that. It's about my inner personal avoda, realizing that listening to the Megillah is emes. Giving mishloach manot to my friend is emes. Giving matanos levion is emes. And so on. And sitting at a Seuda, just sitting at the Seuda, believe without getting crazy drunk and talking about Pertsufim and then, you know, everybody being so into it. Everybody should be blessed that it should be so high and everything like that. But sometimes it's not. You're stuck in a place that you don't want to be, or it's just not happening, for whatever reason, because it's on Friday and everyone's in a rush and whatever. Just realize, just sitting down and eating a piece of chicken, eating a piece of fish, eating at the Seuda and having one little cup of wine and having one, whatever it is during your Seuda, having a good dessert, that's part of the mitzvah, and that's part of the emes. And experience the light that way. Lav nafka, to experience the light in any unbelievable experience out there. So we could start with Purim, V'achshav, and now we start with Purim, feeling the emes of Hashem, true avodas Hashem. Okay, guys, it was great being with you. I got to run. Have a good Purim. Kol tov. Thank you very much to each one of you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.